We're live.
Go.
Hey, Jason, what's happening? It's Saturday. It is Saturday, so that means it is Whole Circle Studio live time.
Here we
Every
go.
Saturday, noon on the East Coast. So we'll wait to see if anyone is going to join us. It's a lovely, at least here, a lovely August day.
It is.
So I don't know. Everyone, hopefully people are enjoying the outdoors and the last bit of summer.
I know, squeezing in the last days of summer.
Which makes me sad.
Well, it's going to be a warm September. So it's like an extended summer.
We'll hope. We'll see. We'll hope.
It'll be good.
So we'll wait a few more minutes to see if anyone joins us live. Let's see some basic things. What's been going on all week? Lots of filming and lots of computer work for me in the studio. So filming, I'm actually giving, if you're a member of the Modern Quilt Guild, the International Modern Quilt Guild, I am going to be doing a webinar that's free for members this Thursday, all about the basics of English paper piecing. So this week I took advantage of some quiet time here in the studio and did some pre-filming of some close-ups of the techniques. So I'll be sharing, it's a live webinar, but I'll also be cutting to some footage that I took. So I was working on that. We also, with the help of this lovely man,
I got some editing in front of me.
Yeah, did some filming. I'm going to be partaking in a Meet the Teachers event, online, virtual, geared towards guilds. The first week of September. I'll put the link in the comments below this video. If you're out there, there's two women, Sue and Lyric, who have been organizing a series of live, but they're also on YouTube events that guilds can be connected, learn what teachers, learn what quilt teachers have to offer their guilds, especially for live programs. So I'm going to be participating in that. So in order to really fully show everything I have to offer in 3 minutes, because I have 3 minutes for my presentation.
I'll be very precise with my editing. I'll make sure everything.
I'm going to be showing a quick video sort of behind the scenes. So we're working on that this week. Like I said, lots of computer week. And I did manage to do some sewing and quilting this week. So that's going to tie into what we're going to talk about in a minute. Anything else you could think of this week?
It was just it felt like a long week. Yeah, but I think it was because of the start of the week was very uneven.
And you were up later than normal this week, so keeping on top of some things. So we have a couple of people joining. Hey, Diana from Bloomfield, and Brenda, hey, nice to see you here. Thanks for joining us. If you have any questions, feel free to, and you're watching us live, like Diana and Brenda, please type them in the chat. So we'll get started. We're not going to be as rushed this week as we were last week. The obvious, if you watched last week, I was getting ready. Sorry, if you hear that in the back, jingling. Christmas isn't here. Casey's scratching. Our dog has become very itchy in August. The August heat has made her, she's fine, but she's itchy.
It happened last year too.
Yeah. I'm waiting for her to stop jingling. I don't know if that's being picked up. There's the shake. Okay, I think she's done. Sorry. So last week we were a bit rushed because I was getting ready to give a presentation to the South Florida Modern Quilt Guild. It was awesome. So we felt a little bit rushed last week. So this week we'll go into a little bit more detail. So if you are new here, if you're watching the recording, just a brief introduction. I'm Sherry Cifaldi Morrill of Whole Circle Studio. I'm a designer and independent pattern publisher, a quilter, and also an educator. And this is my husband, Jason, who is also part of Whole Circle Studio, more of the behind the scenes, and on Saturday in front of the scenes. And so we're here every Saturday, or I should say most Saturdays, noon Eastern time, just chatting with you, talking about what's new in the studio, new projects, other things that's going on. So we're happy you're here. If you are watching this, hit the subscribe button. It definitely helps us out a lot. So anyways, so this week, we're going to talk a little bit about the quilt design that is behind us. So we'll this is the double wedding knot quilt that I designed back in That I
I don't know
know.
if Misa was watching, she would make fun of us for not
When did they get
remembering.
married? What year are we in? Oh, we're in 2020. That's right, 2020, the year that won't end.
Was it 2017 or 2016? I feel like it was one of those. I think
they got married in 2018. 2 years ago?
2 years ago?
2 years ago. No, 3 years. I think 2017. Sorry, Misa and Steve. Anyway, so I designed it a few years ago, a few years ago. What does time matter anymore? We have a really close friends that got married. And so I wanted to make them something special, as a lot of us do for weddings and babies and all that sort of thing. So they were getting married, and I wanted to make them something really special. So of course, a quilt came to mind. And I actually have never made the traditional double wedding ring quilt, although I do have a design in progress for my spin on that. Yeah. But anyway, so I was thinking double wedding rings. I was thinking other symbolism, what my special spin that I could put on a wedding.
Tying the knot.
Tying the knot came to mind. And so I did lots of sketches, and knots were something that I was really, really intrigued with at the time, and still am. So that came the double wedding knot quilt. So one of the things I did is I did lots of sketches, and oftentimes my process is to really focus on the content and the concept and design, and not really while I'm in the design mode, not worrying about how I'm going to pull it off, how I'm going to execute it, what techniques I'm going to use. So that's my design process. Because of that, I have sort of loved all types of techniques, all types of machine piecing, all types of hand piecing. So I really, really focused on the knots. And then when it came down to it, I was like, how am I going to pull this off? So what you're seeing behind, I also should say, is a second quilt of the one that I gave them. So I didn't steal it back from them. There's one that looks pretty close. This is a scrappy version. So of course theirs is unique to them because it's different scraps. Yep. But I loved it so much, and it was getting a lot of attention, that I decided to make a second one. So this is a copy of the one that they have hanging in their home. So the double wedding knot actually combines a few techniques in order to figure out how to pull it off. So the knots are actually foundation paper pieced. And then there's a process where you actually tie the knots, and then it is needle turn applique down. So I've made this a number of times. This was the original size. It's about 36 by 36. I also made a large one that's 60 by 60 that actually hung at a QuiltCon. I think it was QuiltCon Savannah in 20. That would also give a clue of when this quilt was made. Like I said, this year, as everyone, probably time is
this year has been fast and very slow.
Yeah,
all at once.
So anyways, I've made it this size. I've made it much bigger, and I've also made mini ones. So we thought we'd do a little quilt show. And I'm also teaching others. I teach a class on not just this quilt. We're making this quilt. All of my classes, we're making something, but really the process and the techniques and the tips and tricks and sort of the practicing of that is what's really important to me when I'm teaching.
Yeah, so you got 2 classes coming up.
Yeah, so we'll talk about that at the end, but we'll show you the quilts. So this was the first one I made, or the second one I made, I should say, because the first one is with Lisa and Steve. This was a lot of fun because the knots and the binding, you can see the binding as well, were all made from scraps from my stash. So it was a really great scrap buster. And it was a lot of fun. The background is just a solid color. So I have some samples of then I made it smaller, and that's what I'll show you some of them. Here is, again, another sort of rainbow. One of the things that I do with my students too is talk about color and strategies for knots. So the one you saw behind and this one are clearly rainbow. What makes the knots really distinct, again, when I was thinking about wedding, I was thinking of tying the knots, the two things coming together. And so what makes these knots really distinct from one another is the color palette. So on the left-hand side here, we have the warmer color palette. So our reds and oranges and yellows. And then on the right-hand side, we have cooler colors, the greens, the blues, and the purples. So it's sort of a nice metaphor for sort of warm and cold, and two different things coming together. Yeah, let me cut and see if there's a question or a comment. Diana said,
she is an itchy girl too.
Sorry, back to the Benadryl. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe she does have allergies. This is only the second summer we've had Casey, but
same thing last summer too.
Yeah. Anyway, so back to double wedding knots. This was another version I made. Again, a different type of color palette. While the double wedding rings are scrap friendly, they're also this size friendly with a 5-inch charm pack. So these knots were entirely made with one 5-inch charm pack, I think with at least 42 pieces, which is pretty typical of your standard pre-cut 5-inch charm pack. And you'll have some extras over. So this one was made with actually a charm pack from Denise Schmidt that I purchased many years ago at her studio sale, her studio sample sale, where her studio is a few towns over from us. So I forgot the collection name. I have it written down somewhere, but the knots, again, we kind of talk about this in class of kind of trusting your instincts and pulling fabrics and seeing how they come together. And then the background was, or is, I should say, a denim, a cotton quilting denim, which was a lot of fun to work with. And then I don't know if we can see the quilting. It's really tough to see. The background is walking foot quilted. Oh, you could see that. And it's pretty dense, and it is sort of this cross hatch. So that was another fun mini to make. I just noticed that it matches the crosshatch background. Yeah. Yeah, and that's another, I believe that was another Denise Schmidt print as well, the back. So I've also made it, it's a little bit a little simpler, but I've also made it with just 2 solid colors, the blue and the green. Again, it's all just different effects. And this one I turned into a pillow, just the simple envelope pillow style. Yeah. And then this week, so back last fall, I started making, the last time I taught this as a class in person was at QuiltCon back in February in Austin, which was an eternity ago. And to prepare for that class, I was working on a few class samples, and I had one in progress, came home from Austin. It feels like the world blew up. Other things took priority, and I set that aside. And this week I decided to pull that sample out and finish it. Yay.
That what you were working on? I lose track of what you were. I feel terrible saying that.
We'll sit on the couch and watch TV, and I'll be working on something, and Jason's half paying attention, doing his own thing. Anyway, so yes, that's what I was working on. So finishing up this double friendship knot, and this was made again with a charm pack by Tula Pink, her Zuma collection. And for this one, I could have combined it. I wanted the knots to be a little bit more distinct on this one, and again separated them out into warm and cool colors, the 5-inch charm pack. And then there's the knots. This, I wish it picked up on camera, is another denim. I'm kind of been obsessed lately with sort of the denim. It's got some
speckles to it.
Yeah, and I bought this at one of my favorite, I have lots of local quilt shops.
At all?
You can kind of see some speckles. Those are, they're not, I don't know if the color's picking up, but the speckles are sort of pink and green. And then I turned it into a pillow. So I picked this fabric up, gosh, it must have been about 1.5 to 2 years ago at a great local quilt shop just north of Providence, Ryko's. It was actually one of the first places I ever taught at. So if you're ever north, it is. If you're ever north of Ryko's, north of Providence. It's tricky
to find. When you pull in the parking area, you start wondering, where am I going?
They're cleaning.
But it's totally worth it.
It is
totally worth it.
So it's called Ryko's, RYCO''S. It's in Lincoln, Rhode Island, which is just north of Providence. The woman, Pat, is amazing. She's just an amazing person. It's huge.
Yeah, it's an old mill.
It's an old mill building. Yeah. From what I've heard, I haven't been there in a while, obviously, because we're not going anywhere. This is like a total diversion. But anyways, we'll do ours. They are doing some work to the property. The mill area. It's literally old mill buildings. The first time we went there, we thought we were going to be murdered. You're not, I promise. You kind of go through like a sketchy, it's not like dangerous. It's just dilapidated buildings.
But it's also not on a main road. You have to take the side road that looks like it might be a one-way street, but it's not.
Yeah. But they're from what I've heard, they've been doing a lot of work. I keep up with Pat and her newsletter, and it's an amazing selection of fabrics and just really, really great. And they have all types of things too. She actually used to manufacture ribbon and other things there, and then it turned into, probably about 15 years ago, fabric store. Anyways, that's where it goes, just north of Providence. She doesn't pay me to advertise. It sounds like an advertisement.
I know.
I just remember seeing that fabric there, and I was like, I have to get it. And then back to what I was saying is the pink and the green flecks in this denim picked up perfectly on that. So anywho, so that is the double friendship knot mini quilt or quilts that I've been making lots of versions of.
And you're going to teach soon.
I am. I'm going to be teaching it. I get a lot of inquiries. I don't sell the pattern for this. The main reason being is there are some tricky parts to it. It's combining techniques, and even if you've done both techniques before, it's a little tricky to write it up. My number one thing when developing quilt designs, and whether it's going to be a pattern or not, is that if there's any doubt in my mind that it's going to be challenging for quilters to make, I don't release it as a pattern. That may not be the best business decision, but it's something that is sort of in my values, that I don't want people to be challenged by it.
Well, you don't want people to be frustrated. You want people to be challenged.
Yes, challenge is good. Thank you.
Frustrated and disappointed
is
not okay.
Thank you for clarifying that. Yeah, no, that's great. So it's not super, super hard, and it's not super, super challenging, but there's parts of it that I just really feel that I want to be able to show in person. So I do teach it as a class. I teach it with guilds when it's safe to travel. I've been teaching it online. And the last time, like I said, I taught it in person was at QuiltCon. We did teach it as a class, or I taught it as a class Jason filmed back at the beginning of the pandemic, and it was super popular. So we're going to offer it again, and this time as a live Zoom class.
Live with Zoom. So you get that instant feedback.
Yeah.
We've had great experiences with Zoom. We're almost like pros on Zoom now. So if you've had bad Zoom experiences, you won't have them here. So
yes.
It's true.
So it is. We really, like I said, we've been perfecting everything, just like everyone else. It's a learning experience. So the other thing I really love about this pattern is just the metaphor and the friendship. And I think it fits in really well for a class. I think whether you're live or whether you're in person or online, especially through the Zoom now, you're meeting other people and experiencing this and making friends throughout the country and sometimes the world. So, it is a class. I'll be teaching it in September of 2020. I know some people have been like, oh, that date doesn't really work out for me. Are you going to be teaching it again? Not to be sort of sketchy about it is maybe, probably, but not until at 2021 at the earliest, just with other things going on. Yeah. Did you see a question?
Well, I saw a comment. So Brenda completed her double wedding.
Yay!
And she is wondering, with the pink and blue hues, what about the binding? What's the best for the binding?
Yeah. So, well, for the pillows, I don't have a binding on it because it's just a pillow envelope. It really depends. So we'll talk about the class in a minute. We'll go back to binding. I've done a variety of things.
We got the basic binding.
Yeah, so there's two ways. So for this version, I actually just matched the background, and that way I felt like the knots were really, really the superstar. That stood out. The binding, or our frame, essentially for our artwork, kind of just blended in, and the knots were prominent. So if that's an effect that you're looking for, maybe match your background. If you don't have enough of your background fabric to do the binding, maybe something that's close or a neutral, something that matches it. I'm also a huge fan of scrappy binding. So if you have extra fabric from your knots, perhaps pick that up in the binding. Yeah. So yeah, it's all just a matter of personal preference. So thanks. I'm excited, Brenda. When you have photos, I'm sure because you've taken the class with me, you have my email address, or you can always contact me through my website. I would love to see photos of your quilts, so send them along. So if you are interested in making a double wedding
Or friendship.
Double friendship knot.
It could be either way.
It could be. It's a great present. Students who have taken the class from me before have given it to a friend, especially in this time of COVID, have incorporated this with other blocks into a bigger quilt. I have been asked in the class, we will be working on this smaller size, which is about 18 inch by 18 inch, but I'll be talking.
Nice. Like
it does. It's also a manageable project to complete. You won't finish the whole thing in class, but you'll be well on your way. I do in class talk. In class I talk about strategies for how you could make it larger, how I got from here to here. But the templates you'll be getting are for this smaller size, but we'll definitely talk about it.
So to go to the class, they got to go to the shop.
Yeah.
Right?
So the class will start. So the way we're working it is 6 hours of class time broken into 2 3-hour sessions. So it'll be with a week between. So it's if you're signing up for the class, it's 2 3-hour sessions for a total of 6 hours. Included in the class are the templates, the paper templates that you'll print out. And that's essentially the pattern with my instruction. The classes start, there's going to be 2 options. You can either take the Thursday session or the Saturday session. So Thursdays will be from 6 to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You'll need to do the math depending on where you live. If you don't live on the East Coast, if you need help with that math, email me, I'll help you. But I know you could do it. So Thursdays from 6 to 9 p.m. Eastern Time, or Saturdays from noon to 3 Eastern Time.
So you can't mix them up. You can't mix them together.
Yeah, no, because we have students, and also because we're keeping the classes small. I want to make sure, that this class, my online Zoom classes, are as close to as an in-person experience as possible. So we want to keep those class sizes small, which is also the reason why. So the classes start, if you are interested in the Thursday session, it starts Thursday, September 10th, 2020. If you're taking the Saturday session, that will start Saturday, September 12th, 2020. And again, it's 2 weeks, 2 sessions. As I mentioned, registration is limited. There's still some spots open. The reason for that, again, is I want the experience to be as good as possible. I want to make sure I have one-on-one time with each student. You're there, we can chat. The class can chit chat. I'll be giving demos. We'll be doing one-on-one time. I'll be checking in with you on an individual basis. Once class starts, if you have questions about fabric or just questions about anything, I run my classes in person and online exactly the same. Demos, talking, you can ask me anything. You have me for those 6 hours. So I'm pretty excited about this. I've been working with guilds in Zoom and it's gone really, really well. So I'm excited to be able to offer this to the general quilting community. So if you're interested in learning more, if you're interested in registering, you can go to my website, shop.wholecirclestudio.com, and you'll see the 2 different options right on the homepage. Like I said, registration is now open. I'll also put a link after this video in the comments before, so you can go right to those.
All right.
So, anything else you could think to add?
No, I think it's going to be a good class.
Yeah, I'm excited. It's really it's a fun quilt. I've heard
they're about half full already. So
yeah, a little over half full. Yeah, and so we definitely, if you're interested, sign up. Or if you have questions about the class, email me. If you go to my website, wholecirclestudio.com, you can click the contact me button. But yeah, I think it's just also the thing, and I've said it already, I'm going to reiterate it, that I think is just lovely is it's just a really nice metaphor for friendship and weddings and couples and all sorts of good stuff. So it makes a great gift for a friend, someone who's getting married in the near future, or even just for yourself. It's kind of fun and uplifting. Yeah. And it has a lot of special meaning to me because, like I said, I designed it for 2 special people in our lives.
We'll figure out when they got married later.
I'm pretty sure it's 2017. I think it was 3 years ago. Anywho, so I hope you're all doing well. Brenda, yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah,
please do share photos of your quilt. I would love to see them. So, and if you're watching the recording of this, feel free to ask any questions below in the comments. And yeah, hit that subscribe button. It definitely helps us out a lot. So we will be back next Saturday, noon Eastern time. And I hope you guys have a great week and get some sewing and quilting done. Bye,
everybody.